Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Monday, July 5th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Millions are hitting the highway or flying home tonight. This is one of the busiest travel days yet, and it comes with some concern as the state's COVID-19 positivity rate has suddenly doubled. The new Delta variant may be the reason why, but as KPBS reporter Melissa May tells us, travelers to San Diego were not overly concerned.
The July 4th weekend marked a significant jump in visitors streaming through the San Diego International Airport.
So on July 2nd, we saw approximately 68,000 people coming and going from the airport. Now, that's still less than we saw in 2019, but that is the most that we've seen since March of 2020.
San Diego Airport spokesperson Sabrina Lopiccolo says the number of travelers has consistently inched upward since March of this year.
We are seeing more people traveling during this time. I think it's a combination of people being vaccinated, feeling more comfortable to get out and probably take the trips that they had to postpone during COVID.
This despite news that the new Delta variant of COVID, which the CDC calls hypertransmissible, is now the dominant strain in California.
We work closely with the county and follow any of the CDC guidance as well. So at this point in time, we haven't changed any of the robust health and safety measures that we already have in place.
Travelers KPBS spoke to said they felt safe, even with the reports of the Delta variant.
It's great coming back to California. We haven't been here in years.
Desiree and John Cummins are residents of Virginia who came to San Diego for the holiday weekend to celebrate the 4th with family.
I feel very comfortable. My experience with all the other travelers, everyone's just so excited to be out and to get to go and see family and have experiences outside of the house that everyone's just excited to be out.
Tanaya Henry arrived in San Diego on Monday from Atlanta. She said while airports are much busier than they were just a few months ago, she still feels safe.
I'm good. I feel like I'm fine. I know how to keep myself healthy and safe. I wear my mask when I'm around other people.
Henry did notice that some people are bristling about still having to wear masks inside airports.
I see people arguing that, since they've gotten their vaccines, they don't think they need to be wearing a mask inside.
COVID vaccine makers Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna all have confirmed that their shot protects against the Delta variant. Mask enforcement and social distancing in airports and on airplanes are enforced through September 13th, regardless of vaccination status. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Doctors at Palomar Medical Center are upset over a new contract. Palomar Health is the North County's largest health care provider, and doctors say it is prioritizing profit over patient care. KPBS's Alexander Nguyen has more.
For more than 40 years, Vituity has been providing Palomar Medical Center in Escondido and Poway with emergency room doctors. Now Palomar Health is going with a new company. The hospital says the change will help improve patient care and the savings will help pay for new equipment such as CT scanners and MRI machines. The doctors who work here aren't too sure.
Palomar Escondido Chief of Staff Dr. Sabiha Pasha says the changes is more about money than patient care.
And buying MRI machines and CT scanners, sure, if we have the money, we'll do it. But you don't do it at the cost of jeopardizing that core business that we do. And that's the business of taking care of people.
The new company is called Emergent Medical Associates, or EMA. It will provide Palomar with ER doctors, hospitalists, and intensivists. There are doctors who take care of patients in the hospital after the ER. Dr. Pasha says EMA plans to increase doctors' workload, and that will affect patient care.
They brought staffing model that would require each physician to see 25 patients a day in a 12-hour shift. So you do the math on that. Less than 20 minutes per patient, and then you have to do all your documentation. How do you take care of sick people like that?
For the most part, hospitals in California are not allowed to directly employ doctors. Instead, they go through a third party. Dr. Pasha says the current provider has been doing a good job, and she doesn't understand why the board decided to change provider.
In a statement, Palomar CEO Diane Hansen admits the move was about money, but says it was made with patients in mind. She says EMA's proposal allows us to retain all our staff, plus reinvest saved resources to upgrade patient care. In an email, EMA President Dr. Irv Edwards says no cuts or changes in staffing are planned. However, he says there is a plan to increase efficiency and quality over time using proprietary management tools we have developed. EMA says it will keep things running the way they are for 90 days. Afterward, it will reevaluate and make any necessary changes. And that is what worries Dr. Pasha. She says the majority of the more than 100 doctors at Palomar are not planning on signing with the new company.
That says a lot.
EMA says it already has commitments from 50 or so doctors.
The contention over the contract has led the staff here to issue a rare vote of no confidence against Palomar's board of directors. In Escondido, Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Palomar says the changes will only affect doctors who work exclusively at the hospital and won't affect family doctors or specialists. The new contract goes into effect on August 1st. It's unclear what will happen if the majority of doctors refuse to sign with the new provider by then. Surviving cancer is not just about health and science, it's also about community, and that's what we found among a special group of women in North County. All knew what it's like to survive breast cancer and the toll it can take on the woman's body. They're using their love for knitting to help survivors look and feel whole again. We're going to have that story coming up a little bit later in this newscast. Big crowds at the beach mean a big mess left behind, and today volunteers did all they could to clean things up. KPBS reporter Alexandra Van Hel was with them in Mission Beach.
As you can see, we got about 8 pounds here.
80 pounds and counting. That's how much weight and trash volunteers had picked up by 10 a.m. Monday morning. I Love a Clean San Diego partnered with the county Surfrider Foundation to lead the cleanup efforts at San Diego beaches. Over 50 volunteers came out to help in Mission Beach.
I'll drop that right on top. Perfect.
Volunteers are given a pair of gloves and a trash bag to help pick up trash. They're looking for any type of trash, both big and small. Here, as we're walking down the beach, we can already see some pieces of wood and plastic here with this dental floss.
Everything from plastic cups to cooking utensils and plastic inflatables were left behind by beachgoers.
I'm Nick.
Nicholas Kennedy, the community coordinator for I Love a Clean San Diego, explained the importance of caring for our environment.
A lot of stuff can get left behind, and that stuff has a direct nexus to the ocean here. It's not just important to clean up in your neighborhood for things that can flow downstream, but in this case, a high tide or some winds or birds coming after trash cans can easily take trash and put it right into the Pacific Ocean.
Picking up trash on July 5th has become an annual tradition for Julia Thomas and her mom.
I go to the beach here, and I, spend my time here, so I know that other people spend their time here. And I want other people to feel safe and have a good time when they're out here.
This year, they found
a lot of cigarette butts. This year, weirdly, a lot of diapers for some reason. That's been very interesting.
While some stick to the sand and the grass area.
We like to go to the parking lots just because a lot of people, people in their cars eating food, and a lot of the trash ends up in the parking lots, and I don't think it gets as much attention.
To keep things on the safe side, this year's cleanup was hosted virtually.
We developed an online tool, a really awesome resource that people could use so that they could do a cleanup around their neighborhood.
Kennedy says efforts to clean up local beaches continue throughout the year. Those who would like to get involved can visit cleansd.org. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
This next story is a reminder of just how dangerous personal fireworks can be. A young NHL goalie is dead, the result of fireworks last night in Michigan. Matisse Kivlenix played for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Police say he was in a hot tub when mortar-style fireworks tilted slightly and started to shoot towards his group. The 24-year-old, originally from Latvia, was struck. The Blue Jackets say this is a devastating time for their team. The pandemic laid bare persisting health inequities here in San Diego. Race and equity reporter Christina Kim has the story of one man's effort to expand healthcare services in Southeast San Diego.
We were trying to find just an urgent care center to get her breathing properly and that kind of thing. And
Barry Pollard still remembers how helpless he felt watching his stepdaughter gasp for air in the midst of an asthma attack. The Valencia Park resident rushed to his local clinic, only to find it was closed because it was a Saturday and there was no nearby urgent care centers.
I was thoroughly upset that we didn't have it, especially with all of the entities, medical entities that are in here.
That was 4 years ago. Ever since, he's been trying to get more urgent care centers in Southeast San Diego.
People don't even know that they deserve an urgent care. They're so used to driving out of this community that it's not an issue, right? Until you're a single mom jumping on the bus or the trolley to take your kid out to one of these outer-lying health facilities.
So there's a void, we talk about food deserts, there's a healthcare desert in this community.
Dr. Susana Flalo is a retired Kaiser doctor. She says the need for urgent care is particularly acute in places like Encanto and Valencia Park, all of which are predominantly Black and Latino.
By not having good access to healthcare and good healthcare in the community that you live in, your chronic diseases, your diabetes, your hypertension, your heart disease, things like that, just continue to get worse.
Pollard says the solution to expanding healthcare access in Southeast San Diego is by getting lots of different institutions, like San Ysidro Health and UCSD, to work together and shoulder any added costs. The cost could be steep, but San Ysidro Health is open to working on it, says CEO Kevin Matson.
We're happy to collaborate with the Urban Collaborative and figure out how we can help solve this issue in the community. We're happy to have that discussion.
Pollard's organization is called Urban Collaborative Project, and he says change needs to happen soon.
Everybody is jumping on the equity bandwagon. Put up or shut up.
Christina Kim, KPBS News.
Whether a cup size A, B, D, or any letter of the alphabet, losing one or both breasts to cancer can be a shattering experience. I recently met a group of tight-knit women living at a retirement home in Escondido who are lightening the pain associated with mastectomy, one loving stitch at a time.
It's like riding a bicycle, you don't forget.
In her little cottage at Redwood Terrace Retirement Home, Pat Anderson's creativity hasn't slowed down over the years. After a long career as a textile designer, she still enjoys making yarn by hand on her homemade spinning wheel.
And everything you wear starts with this process.
Her work, both old and new, is strewn on her couch. Her friend Pat Moeller is here.
This is the very first thing I ever made. Did you see this hat, Pat? No.
And admires her creations from the 70s.
How neat.
The two Pats call this tranquil home in Escondido the magic place, as it's become the setting of their new friendship, as well as a surprising grassroots movement called SBW.
And that stands for Sisterhood of the Boobles Wonders.
The Sisterhood of the Boobles Wonders are breast cancer survivors and part of a trio of knitters who have literally taken comfort into their own hands in the shape of hand-knitted bust forms, aptly called busters.
And here they are. They're nothing more than a specially designed accessory.
In the 6 years since Pat made the first prototype, the Busters Project has helped more than 1,200 women across the country who have undergone mastectomy surgery.
All women's clothing is designed to accommodate the bust contour. So if that is gone, your clothes don't fit right, and you end up feeling dumpy and unkempt.
Pat says most of all, it shows. And until now, the only official solutions offered to patients were surgical reconstruction or medical-grade silicone prosthetics, which can be heavy. Busters, on the other hand...
This weighs less than an ounce. They're soft, they're washable, they're natural and normal looking.
At first glance, busters may look simple.
These are tricky to make.
Pat says there is a very specific knitting technique that involves the direction and the grain of the yarn. And Pat has proudly patented the design.
We've got a contour here but it has to be flat on the back.
What makes them even more unique, unlike prosthetics, is that they are customizable in size by simply adding or removing the filling.
Almost a full cup size larger or smaller.
Every last detail has been considered.
The light, bright, cheerful colors help women remember that they are breast cancer survivors, not victims.
Each pair takes about 8 hours to knit. It's a real labor of love.
What do you think of something like this?
Color-wise?
So Pat Moeller stepped in to help.
She happened to be in front of me in the buffet line, and I said, if you need any help knitting, I would be happy to.
And she's doing the biggest sizes, so you know she's a good knitter.
When fellow resident Bernice Dufour found a lump on her breast,
I didn't want any nonsense. I said, just lop it off.
Medicare covered the cost of the silicone prosthetic she holds in her hand, which usually costs more than $200 per breast.
I weighed it on my postal scale, it weighs 2 pounds, and it was hot in the summer, and it could even be cold in the winter. I don't think anybody would choose this.
Since she was introduced to busters, she says this breast sits in a box.
Now I have a much better choice, and I'm sticking with it.
A basket full of thank you notes with gratitude from recipients usually comes with donations.
This is so nice.
That go towards sponsoring another woman's pair, from one survivor to another.
There's life after breast cancer.
As for Pat Anderson, in a career that dates back more than 50 years, she says Busters is her final project.
How many almost 89-year-old women can say that they're still doing something that makes a difference?
And much like the 60-40 acrylic nylon blend chosen for its strength and its softness, these survivors exude that same resilience, creating a product that is built to last down to the final thoughtful stitch.
And by the way, Busters are free for any breast cancer survivor who would like a pair. And if you want a free pair of Busters, you can directly email Pat at spinshuttlestudio@gmail.com. Look for many local libraries to reopen. 14 more San Diego library branches will open their doors tomorrow for in-person services. They had been closed, of course, because of the pandemic. The libraries will be limited to 50% capacity. You can go to our website at kpbs.org for a link to the libraries and the services being offered. After more than a year of COVID-19 restrictions, Americans are getting out there this holiday weekend. And with the wide open outdoor spaces looking like safe options, Karen Kafer reports the National Park System is seeing a big summer bounce back.
At Great Falls Park in Virginia, embracing sunshine and sounds.
The wildlife and being outside.
I like the noise of the water, just running down.
Just 15 miles outside Washington, D.C., the 800-acre National Park Service site offers views of the Potomac River cascading over jagged rocks.
I love just walking, strolling.
And after months at home, more people are seeking the outdoors.
As people are getting more fully vaccinated, we're seeing more and more people, and this park is bustling.
In 2020, 66 of the National Park Service's 423 sites saw COVID-19 closures of 2 months or more, resulting in 90 million fewer visitors to the system than 2019. In May 2021, some parks saw record attendance at Yellowstone. Across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, more than 483,000 visitors. And Joshua Tree in Southern California.
Have you guys gotten your junior ranger books yet?
More than 286,000.
I had a little extra time and we went through Joshua Tree, and I did not realize it was like this pretty.
As Americans look for places to go and things to do.
With masks and following protocol, I think we're safe to come out and enjoy this wonderful weather and what nature has and what God has given us.
Joshua Tree National Park Ranger Hannah Schwalbe says their traffic should slow with the summer's desert heat.
We have the Sonoran Desert in the south part of the park, and here in the north part we're in the Mojave Desert where all the Joshua trees grow.
But like other western parks, heat and drought conditions among hundreds of thousands of acres require caution.
Wildfires are definitely a concern here, and even though it's quieter in our summers, we do still get a lot of visitation.
And specific fire mitigation rules.
As of June 21st, we have a fire restriction in place, so there's no fires allowed anywhere in the park
park, and that includes campfires.
That's why Schwalbe and other rangers encourage visitors to research a park's rules before arrival. Some parks now even requiring reservations to stem overcrowding. Rangers also asking this summer for patience.
Be kind. Be kind to us, be kind to each other, and understand that we're in this together.
In Great Falls, Virginia, I'm Karen Kafa.
We're going to be talking about some comfortable temperatures sticking around for some of the coastal regions. A little bit of a warm up for the interior sections, especially as we look towards the later part of the work week and heading into the weekend. And out in the desert, that's where the heat has been trapped. And also some low confidence in the possibility of some mountain thunderstorms, likely late week as we watch our next system begin to move into central portions there of the country. So a couple of the big stories that we're going to be following here. For tonight, temperatures dropping off to 61 in Oceanside, San Diego getting down to 66, Ramona 53 for that overnight low. We will have that marine layer thickening up right near the coast. So that's going to bring some low-hanging cloud cover and perhaps a little bit of some morning fog, but that will be clearing nicely as we head into the afternoon hours, and we'll bring back some sunshine out there on your Tuesday afternoon. So high pressure in control here for the interior sections of the southeast, which again keeps the heat locked in some of the mountains where temperatures are still up into the triple digits. Temperatures for your Tuesday getting up to 82 in Escondido, El Cajon getting up to 88, Borrego Springs 110. So again, still rather toasty in some of the deserts. Not a whole lot of change here on your Wednesday. The heat winning out again, more heat in the forecast for the interior sections here of the southeast. But I did want to point out that possibility of monsoonal moisture through the middle of the week trying to get further west. But I do think that later this weekend we'll have a little bit of a better chance perhaps in some of the mountains here in Southern California to get a little bit of rain showers. Near the coast, not a whole lot of change. Temperatures near average, mid 70s, maybe getting into the upper 70s by the time we get towards Friday. Further inland, temperatures generally sitting in the low to mid 80s, mostly sunny skies. Not much to worry about here. In the mountains, a little bit cooler, low to mid 70s. Again, not a whole lot of change here over the next 5 to 7 days for your forecast. Plenty of sunshine, but we'll have to watch for later this weekend. And in the desert, the heat is on and it continues with triple-digit temperatures over the next 5 to 7 days. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
0-2 on Manny. And Machado hits it in the air to deep left field. He has done it again. A 3-run shot in the third and a 5-0 Padre lead.
It was a happy flight home to San Diego thanks to Manny Machado. The Padres star hit 2 home runs in their 4th of July win over the Philadelphia Phillies. They're back home tonight at Petco Park for a game against the Washington Nationals to wrap up the final week before the All-Star break. And speaking of All-Stars, the Padres have 4 of them. That's more than any other team in the National League.
Making his 4th appearance, Mark Melanson. Jake Cronenworth.
The Padres released this rare look inside the clubhouse during the COVID-19 era of team manager Jace Tingler making those announcements. Pitcher Yu Darvish will also go to Denver for the All-Star game along with Fernando Tatis Jr., who won the fan vote at shortstop. The All-Star game will be played next Tuesday. That is July 13th. COVID-19 delayed the release of Marvel's Black Widow for more than a year, but this Friday, the wait is finally over. Beth Accomando has her review of the latest superhero film and a few other new releases.
Scarlett Johansson first appeared on screen as Natasha Romanoff in Marvel's Iron Man 2 more than a decade ago. She was a Russian spy who defected to the U.S. and eventually became an Avenger. The trailer for her standalone film says,
"You don't know everything about me. I've lived a lot of lives."
And she has, but the Black Widow film only scratches the surface of that. The film tries to invest her story with heart and soul, as well as jaunty family banter. It's an uneven but fun ride, with the action keeping the pace mostly breathless. Florence Pugh, however, steals the show from her on-screen sister, so we may be seeing more of her in the future. Over the course of 6 weeks in 1969, veteran TV producer Hal Tolchin filmed the Harlem Cultural Festival. Then, the footage sat in his basement for 50 years because he couldn't get anyone interested in turning it into a documentary.
Because the revolution will not be televised.
Now, musician and first-time director Amir Questlove Thompson has crafted Summer of Soul, a film that both celebrates the amazing event as well as placing it in a larger context. So take a trip back in time and immerse yourself in this glorious film. And finally, there's plenty of formulaic horror for consumption streaming and in cinemas. Netflix just kicked off an R-rated trilogy called Fear Street based on R.L. Stine's young adult books. The first installment delivered a by-the-numbers horror tale with occasional clever kills and LGBTQ leads to give it a relevant vibe. It's perfectly okay if you don't really want to be scared or challenged. And even more by the numbers is the latest entry in the Purge franchise, The Forever Purge. Lurking somewhere deep in this predictable dystopian horror rampage is a clever satire that could have skewered the politics of a Trump-era America. But that would require someone smart and funny, like Jordan Peele, to uncover it and make it bite with humor and horror. So, if you're desperate for a horror flick, you can make do with these, but they set the bar pretty low. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.